Now we're going to talk about string formatting. A lot of times while messaging, while giving the output in a desirable and legible format, we will be using string formatting, and there are multiple approaches to do it. Let's say we just want to print a sentence after taking an input from the user, which will be the name and age. We want to print the message that your name is this and you are these many years old. So how does it work? So we have used the input function here from Python, which will print this message, enter your name. It will be a prompt asking us to enter our name. And then we are taking another input, which is going to give us a prompt that enter your age. Please note this input by default returns a string. Since we are capturing age here, we are converting it to an integer. So let's say we run this, it gives a message, enter your name. Let's say I type Nash and I hit enter. Then it says enter your age, and let's say I write 25. It says your name is Nash and you are 25 years old. How did it work? If you see, we've used something called as a format specifier. This percentage symbol followed by an S talks about a string, and this percentage symbol followed by a D talks about a digit or an integer in this case. So it knows what are the inputs that are desired to be displayed in this formatted string. How do we actually pass them? We captured them through the user, and then in order to plug it here, we had to mention percentage %s. The first entry here is something that's going to take as a string. That's what it'll expect. And the second entry here, it's going to take as age, which is a number, and it displays the output. The same thing can be achieved using something that's known as the str.format. We are repeating the same exercise. The format is a little different. Here you'll use the .format method and give the same input that you want to incorporate. Why would this be needed? A lot of times, different users might be interacting with the system and they need to provide different inputs. We want to be consistent in terms of our display and messaging. That's the only purpose. So this pair of curly brackets is essentially known as a placeholder. What values would be appearing here in the same order? If you're first passing the name and then passing the age, that's how it's going to see. Please note, this time we did not particularly typecast this input to an integer because this pretty much works with whatever inputs you're going to give. So we don't have to specifically mention that we are taking an integer as an input, which was the case with percentage %d earlier. Let's run this, and I again enter the name and enter the age, which is 25, and let's see. So in terms of output, you don't see any difference. It's displaying one and the same kind of message. Now, another very popular method is by using the format strings, and this is a slightly different syntax. So you write the lowercase f for the format string, and you mention the string. Within the placeholder, you plug the inputs that you've captured from the user. So name and age, and then you can display the format string. Let's just do that one more time. I enter the name and I enter the age, and you can see this is how the output comes. Please note, for simple display, you can also use a concatenation operation. The only tricky piece is concatenation would work only on strings. So if we are trying to mix the strings with another data type, that would lead to an error. That's why we have to ensure that the name and age, whatever we take as an input here, has to be a string type. We are just writing the same thing with these plus signs. So this says your name is, then gives a space. If you don't give a space, it would actually end up merging these. Then we give the input name, then another plus sign, and then we start another sentence with a space, and then age, and these many years old. So this again is going to display the same message. Of course, it is a little more verbose, and you have to do it repeatedly. There is no system behind it. But if you see the earlier approaches like format string and .format, those are more consistent. You can keep on changing the variables and it'll keep on updating. Similarly, we can also use commas. And when you have commas, the good thing is that you don't have to worry about extra spacing here as we had to do with the plus sign. So if we just write it consistently like this, it pretty much works. So these are called the string formatting techniques, and these come very handy when it comes to messaging while working on a piece of code or while creating plots, etc. You don't have to manually customize everything every time. You can use them with loops and it'll become very convenient.